I give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Quadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which ruled great millstone wow, which taught us the truth, taught Israel the truth, taught me the truth. Yahweh Shai is the truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babal. So I was listening to the apostles today, and multiple apostles were talking about the Renaissance art, all right, which was an iconoclasm of the truth, all right. So this is Job 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the wicked is the so-called white race. They're the red devil the Bible speaks of. The descendants of Esau. Their biblical name is Edom. They are the Edomites. They are red. They are the red devil. And they're the accuser of the Israelite. All right. And the adversary of the Israelite. It says, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. The Israelites are the judges, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which we are the Israelites that were exiled from our land in slavery because of our sin, and we've been scattered throughout the world in slavery. Now, in the Edomites' iconoclasm, they destroyed the art of the dark races ruling, talking about the Israelites, all right? And this is why the word iconoclasm, which is them destroying the truth. All right. The word iconoclasm, it says, comes from the medieval Greek root word iakon, which is image or icon, and klastis, meaning breaker, combining to mean image breaker. It entered English usage around the late 18th century to describe the actual or figurative destruction of sacred images and established traditions, which the so-called white race set their image up, all right, and hid the true image of the Israelites being dark-skinned people, which they set up false images like the false image of Jesus Christ. That's a false image. That's a false name. All right. All right. So I put Jesus Christ, which is a false idol, and it's a false name. It says Renaissance art. All right. Jesus Christ is Renaissance art. So it says, during the Renaissance, which is the rebirth of the so-called white race, which they were pretty much put in a form of Neanderthal. All right, that's how you got the Neanderthal, the wild man of Europe, which they were pretty much like wild beasts that lived in caves, slept under trees, and eventually they came out of that state as a so-called white man, as they claim, Caucasian, meaning cave dweller. All right. It says, during the Renaissance, art depicting Jesus Christ, which is a false image and a false name, shifted from symbolic medieval flatness toward deep human emotion, realistic autonomy, and three-dimensional space, which is not realistic. Autonomy, it says autonomy is the scientific study of the physical structure of living beings. All right, so their line, what they did was they deceived the world with a lie and said it is true, which it is not. As you see in this image is not biblical. who you know as Jesus Christ is a goddamn lie. All right. It says here that who you know as so-called Jesus is a Negro, a so-called Negro, not a white man. All right. Because the true image of the Messiah is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai, you could find it in the description of Yahweh Shai in the Bible, which we have this image, the real image of, it says Jesus Christ, but his real name is Yahweh Shai, according to the Bible, which we give you the verses, Revelation chapter 1 and Daniel chapter 10. All right, that's the name of the Father and his Son, Yahweh Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai. This is the Paleo Hebrew, which you see in the image of the Bible. Yahweh is on top. Yahweh Shai is under Yahweh. Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. All right. And the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery under the wicked, the so-called white race, which they cover the faces of the judges thereof. And if not him, then who is it? All right? Who is this wicked that the Bible speaks of, that rules the world in violence? All right? And they set up their image, all right, deceiving the world. Once again, let's go to Job 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, which Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, gave the world into the hand of the so-called white men during the Greeks and the Romans. Then there was a time known as the Dark Ages. Then after the 1,000 years of Dark Ages, the Renaissance took place. All right? Which this is why the J was invented, and it was to deceive the world with the false name Jesus Christ. And they set up their own image. He covereth the faces of the judges. The judges are the Israelites thereof. If not, where and who is he? Who did this? It was the so-called white race. This is why it's called the Renaissance, the rebirth of the so-called white race. All right? And it's not the Chinese, it's not the Japanese, it's not the Africans, it's not Japhetic people. All right? It's the Edomites, the so-called white race. They're the red devil that covered the image of the judges, the Israelites, and deceiveth the whole world. All right? And this devil is coming down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time, as it was prophesied. The son of perdition, the man of sin, is being revealed, and he knows that he's going into perdition. This is why the billionaires are building bunkers. All right, so this is the video I watched of a brother's video. All right, Arrows of Indignation. And watch this, Jake. He's talking about what he saw on TV. And it's pertaining to the Edomites, the so-called white race, the red devil the Bible speaks of. And they're preparing for judgment, which when Yahweh Shai comes, he's going to judge them. And their kingdom is going to be obliterated off the face of the earth after they make the world pretty much a mandate that you have to have an implantable microchip for buying and selling.
So I was watching this video about a YouTuber, and he was talking to the number one bunker maker in the United States. He make all the bunkers and shit. And the dude who make the bunkers, he was like, it was 3. He was like, now he the only one left. But he was talking to the man about the bunkers and shit, and the YouTuber was asking him, like, why everybody creating these bunkers? Because he was telling the YouTuber that everybody getting a bunker. All these billionaires and millionaires, everybody requesting a bunker and shit. And he was like, when they start on them bunkers, they got to sign NDAs and shit. He was like, for most of the people that they do bunkers for, they sign NDAs. He was like, they don't even know who they be making bunkers for. He was like, everybody know Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and people like that got bunkers and shit. But he was like, a lot of these other billionaires, he was like, you wouldn't even know people got bunkers and shit. And he was like, bro, by the year 2027, 2028, it's gonna be it's gonna be a bigger pandemic, bro. And he was like, the people who gonna survive is the people with the bunkers and shit. And he was like, lately his clients been scientists and shit. And he was like, the reason why he know what he know is because when he talked to the scientists and the scientist was telling him that in the next the next few years, it's gonna be a virus, another pandemic, and it's gonna be real bad. And the dude who make the bunkers, he got to bunker his damn self. And bro, I was watching that shit. That shit was fucking crazy, bro.
Which that's biblical prophecy. We have a sure word of prophecy, and you would do well if you took heed. All right, it says in Revelation 6 and verse 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. Which Yahweh is going to send Yahushua back with the host of heaven. It says, and from the wrath of the Lamb, which when Yahushua comes back, the allies and enemies of America is going to shoot nuclear missiles on America. This is biblical prophecy. This is why they're building bunkers. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Because if you see these earthquakes now, like in Colombia, the people were trying to run and they were falling on their face.
Me echan los niños. El edificio. Vuelto no nada. Marina.
All right, so that last video was them surgeons were in Japan. All right. So I put in Google how many earthquakes happened in the last 24 hours. It says 145 earthquakes in the past 24 hours, 1,298 earthquakes in the past 7 days, In the last month, 30 days, 5,512 earthquakes in the past 30 days. And in the last year, 56,183 earthquakes in the past 365 days. And you can see it's happening all over the earth. They got a map here. There's earthquakes all over, which they're not marking all of them. This is just 24-hour period, which it's only going to get worse. Okay, these are the signs of the times. And this is a sign of Yahweh Shai's return. All right. There's going to be more earthquakes, more deadly earthquakes. All right. And that's prophesied. We got a sure word of prophecy, and you would do well if you took heed. It says in fact, I'm going to go to the Apocrypha. In 2nd Ezra 9. This is Uriel, which was sent to Ezra, and he was in the Medo-Persian Empire under the Babylon, Medo-Persian Empire, and he was given the prophecies of the last days, and one of the prophecies is Esau is the end of the world, and they are the wicked, and we are enslaved under them today. When Ezra was getting this prophecy, he was under the Medo-Persian Empire, and the Greeks and the Romans have not ruled yet. So they didn't see the Edomites rule at that time, but it was a prophecy that was given to him, and the Greeks and the Romans ruled. Then it was the Dark Ages, which Jake ruled, and you had other dark races like the Ishmaelites. All right, they were ruling, and also even other nations like the Hamites. They had a certain kingdom set up, and they were doing trade with the Israelites in that time. Even the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, like King James, he was doing trade with the northern kingdom here in America, and King James was in Europe. All right, so there was trading going on, all right, amongst dark-skinned people. But after the Renaissance, the rebirth of the so-called white race, you had the Edomites commit iconoclasm, and they set up their own images and deceived the world. They set up a false Christianity, which you had Jake, reprobate Jake, all right, like Constantine, setting up false religions where he was mixing pagan customs to please the pagans, and mixing the truth with the pagan worship of the other nations. All right. So it says in 2nd Ezra 9 verse 1, he answered me then, which is Uriel answering Ezra's prayer, and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. So look at what's going on in the world, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which you just saw in Spain, where they supposedly were invaded by a bunch of military-aged men, that's the uproars of the peoples. That's a tumult of the people. And who paid for that tumult? The elite. The elite of the so-called white race. The devil is coming down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time. It says in verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High Yahweh spake of those things through prophets from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Adam prophesied, and even Enoch, all right, prophesied before the flood of Noah about these things. It says, for like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So we're seeing these signs in the heavens and in the earth, which are signs of the end of the wicked, the so-called white race, Esau, Edom, ruling the world with deception. Even so, the times also, Esau just got upset with that one. It says, even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder, which you have the prophets, which are speaking a word of truth, and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. So we're seeing the effects and the signs. All right. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, which only the Israelites have faith, and we show our faith by our works, whereby ye have believed, which we preach this word. All right, which when you go to Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 6, seeing it is a righteous thing with our power to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled, talking about the Israelites, rest with us. That's why you got Isaiah 4:1, Isaiah 14:1. When the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Yahweh and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints, the sanctified Israelites, which were sanctified by the truth. Yahushua is the truth, and we know this by the word of Yahweh, and we are brought into remembrance through the Holy Spirit, which comforts us, and to be admired in all them that believe, which are Israelites. And they believe by hearing these videos. We tell you the truth, which is the word of Yahweh, and it speaks of his son Yahushua, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. So just like Yahushua said before, he came to fulfill the law and the prophets. Matthew 5 verse 17, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So when he comes again, he's going to be fulfilling the prophecies, and he's going to be fulfilling the law of Yahweh, because Yahweh is going to give that commandment to send Yahushua back from heaven with the host of heaven. It says in Revelation 19 and 11, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, a chariot, a so-called UFO, which he rides, so you could understand. And he that sat on him, which Yahushua is going to be riding up on top of a so-called UFO, was called faithful and true, because he fulfills the law and the prophecies. And in righteousness he does judge and make war, which he's going to make war with the Edomite and the other nations, and he's going to avenge us, which is Revelation 18 and 20. This is why we're spiritual men. We're not carnal. We're not trying to fight against Esau and his military. We're waiting for Yahweh to send Yahushua with the host of heaven. It says in Revelation 18 and 20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh sending Yahushua hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. The sea is the sea of people. America is known as a melting pot of people, and the great millstone cast into the sea is the nuclear destruction of these people. It says, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon, aka America, the great whore, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And that's the judgment of the great whore, which their kingdom is going to be obliterated. All right. Their military is going to be evaporated. And then they're going to be enslaved. The ones that are in the bunkers, they're going to crawl out of those bunkers like worms. And they're going to lick the dust off of our feet in slavery. And we're going to put them in slavery with chains around their necks, just as it prophesies in Psalm 149. Psalm 149 verse 1, praise ye Yahweh, sing unto Yahweh a new song. And it's new to the world because Christianity is a lie, so they taught you a lie. They didn't teach you what was in the Bible. And his praise in the congregation of saints, which that's what you see, is us, the sanctified Israelites, sanctified by the truth. We are the saints, and we are the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the sons of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance, which we worship Yahweh and his son Yahushai. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation, which he's going to send Yahushai to save us. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of Yahweh through Yahushai be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. So when we get into the promised land, we're going to have the heathen, starting with the elite, that are going to hide in their bunkers outside of America, and they're going to go into slavery, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, which are the chains of slavery. Fetters of iron around their wrists and their feet, and yoke of iron on their neck. It says, to execute upon them the judgment written, which is written in the scriptures. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh. I'm going to read this last bit and then I'll close out, Lord willing, if this is the will of the Holy Spirit. Isaiah 14:1, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers, which are Israelites scattered throughout the world, which watch us on the unicorn, on the internet, shall be joined with them, which they're going to believe in the prophecies, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob in faith. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, the elite that are surviving the nuclear destruction of America and those bunkers outside of America. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. So we're going to put chains on them, put chains on their neck, on their wrists, on their legs, and chain them together and make them work. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So this is the future prophecy. So we give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders that rule great millstone, wow, which taught Israel the truth, taught me the truth. Yahushai is the truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babal.